I think 2023 was pretty great for entertainment. I mean, I think we got some pretty good movies. We got some disappointments here and there, but for the most part, I enjoyed quite a lot of things. So let's talk about those things. The best and not so best of 2023. I will admit that this is by no means comprehensive. This is just the stuff that I watched that I liked. So there's a lot of things that I haven't seen. Movies, TV shows. I mean, there's a ton of them. So yeah, if you have any that are like, dude, you gotta watch this show or you gotta watch this movie, leave them down in the comment section and yeah, we'll talk about it. But some of the things that I haven't seen that I really, really want to see, Barbie. Yeah, I know, I'm like one of the last people to see Barbie apparently, but my wife wants to see it and she just hasn't had time. So it's one of those things I'm waiting for her. You know how it is. So yeah, I haven't seen Barbie. I haven't seen Ferrari, which just came out a couple of days ago. I really want to see that. It's Michael Mann. I mean, come on, Michael Mann. I love Michael Mann. So yeah, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen Poor Things. Heard amazing things from Mark Ruffalo's performance, from Emma Stone's performance. I want to see that one. American Fiction. I've heard amazing things. Haven't seen it yet. Godzilla minus one. This is a big one. A lot of guys, a lot of people have already told me, yes, I need to see this movie. I just haven't gotten around to it. So yeah, Godzilla minus one. There's The Holdovers, which I'm a big fan of Paul Giamatti. I just haven't gotten around to seeing that one yet. So yeah, that's another one. And then of course, I'm in the middle of watching For All Mankind over on Apple TV Plus. That's a fantastic show. If you're not watching For All Mankind, get on it. But yeah, let's get into the best series first of all. Now, I think it's no surprise that The Last of Us is going to be on the list of one of the best series of the year. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was really, really well done. There were a lot of changes from the original game, but I think it actually served the overall story, even though I kind of feel like those last two episodes felt really, really rushed. But it kind of gives me hope. I mean, maybe the second season will be good too. I don't know. Now, season one of this series, I would say, yeah, it was fun. It was goofy. It was kind of crazy, and I kind of liked it for that. But Loki season two, wow. I mean, it gives such an amazing arc for a character that if you're a fan of the MCU and if you're a fan of Loki, wow, it really tells an amazing story. And I really enjoyed going back and watching some of season one and how things were set up. It's the two of those seasons together were just amazing. And I think they did a fantastic job on season two. And it kind of made me wish that everything was done with the same level of care that Loki season two was. Now we're going to get into the movies side of things. And I'm going to start off with what I consider to be, at least for me, the most surprising movie of the year. Now, I mean, I'm sure some people will say, oh yeah, that was Godzilla minus one or whatever. But for me, the one that I saw that I was blown away by how good it was. Going in, thinking this is not going to be for me. This is not going to be good. It's going to be crap. And it was really fun. And I'm talking about Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. I thought it was fantastic. Chris Pine, probably one of my favorite roles I've ever seen him in. Michelle Rodriguez has always been one of those people that I just never enjoyed her performances. I just was like, yeah, she's just there. And it's the first time that I really cared about her character. And I thought that she brought a lot to the role. I just thought it was great. Hugh Grant was amazing. I mean, look, this movie's great. And if you haven't seen it, put it on your list, watch it. I believe it's available on Paramount Plus right now for free. I mean, if you have Paramount Plus. Now, the best movies. We're just going to go down the list here. Some of my favorite movies of the year. First off would be Wonka. I recently saw that one. It may be recency bias, but I don't think so. I think it's actually like a really, really good movie. And I actually just saw Paddington 2 for the first time. Same director, same writer as Wonka. And that was fantastic as well. But yeah, Wonka was great. And if you haven't seen that one, put it on your list. This was an amazing year for some directors that I think are some of the cream of the crop, some of the best directors of our time. And one of those is Martin Scorsese with Killers of the Flower Moon. Now, I'll say this, I really like the movie. I really do. I think it's a great movie. But I don't think it's his best movie. Not anywhere close. And I also think that I don't know where. I'd have to really study the movie to figure it out, but there needs to be like 30, 45 minutes taken out because it loses focus to me, kind of somewhere in the middle, because the movie changes its focus away from what I think is the most important set of characters. That's the Osage Nation. And when they start showing more of Leonardo DiCaprio's character and Robert De Niro's character, it's kind of like, okay, but what's going on with the Osage Nation? And that's where I feel it loses a little bit. But I still think it's a fantastic movie, and I think most people will get something out of it. Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. It's a long name, but look, I got to say, I still enjoyed this movie a lot. It's one of those movies where you go, it's not the best movie. It's not the best movie of the year. It's not the best action movie of the year, even. But it's still really, really well done, and I think it deserves some recognition. And I feel like I don't understand why it didn't do well at the box office. It was an extremely entertaining movie. Maybe people were turned off by the idea that it's a part 1, but I don't know. I just think it's a really fun movie, and I think more people should see it. Now, this next movie on the list is going to be one that some people will go, "You're crazy. That is not a good movie. Like, that wasn't even..." No, it's not a good movie. But in my opinion, it was worth watching, and that is The Creator. And I enjoyed this movie so much that I bought it on 4K. And this is a movie that, for me, it's a great example of a director doing more with less. Now, is it the best example of that this year? Apparently not, because Godzilla Minus One did a lot with a very, very small budget. But this movie looks fantastic, and it sounds great. And I gotta say, I was really moved by the performances. A lot of people say that John David Washington is just there. He's a cardboard cutout, and he's not a very good actor. His performance moved me. And the little girl, I can't remember her name, but she was fantastic in it. I recommend this movie. I recommend checking it out just for the world that's being created, how beautiful it looks. The sound design is awesome. The music was great. I enjoyed it. Now, this next movie is another movie in the machine of Marvel, right? But you know what? I gotta say, I really enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. This is one of those where, man, if it makes you almost pine for the old days where the Marvel movies actually made you care, right? Like, I actually care about these characters. And I love the way that it was shot. I love the way it looked. I love the fact that they focused on Rocket Raccoon. I think it was great. And it actually made me tear up a few times. Yeah, fair warning, if you love animals, man, your heart's going to get ripped out like multiple times. It's kind of a rough movie, but it's also awesome. And I just love it. I think it was great. And it's a great way for James Gunn to end his run with Marvel. And I'm looking forward to what he's going to be doing over in DC. I will also say that, strangely, man, there were some jokes that landed really awkwardly. And it was a kind of like, whoa, what is that? That didn't work. That was strange. But overall, I still really enjoyed it, and I recommend it. I've been, I would say, a casual fan of this series, but it's very strange that a fourth movie in this series could make me such a big fan, and that is John Wick 4. This movie was awesome. Like I said, I like the previous 3 movies. I like them, but they didn't make me want to buy the 4K Blu-ray. This one, I want to buy the 4K Blu-ray. I haven't done it yet. But man, what a great movie. I mean, just from a movie making standpoint, this movie was fantastic. You know, you've got the amazing scene that's shot like kind of almost like a video game where it's overhead, down, shooting. Oh man, what an amazing sequence. And then you've got the sequence with the roundabout. And then the amazing sequence on the stairwell or the stairway, whatever you want to call it. Even though, yeah, that might have gone on just a bit too long, but you know what? It's still really, really well done. And man, I really enjoy the movie. And I think if you're an action movie fan and you haven't seen this, you need to. Now, in any other year, this movie would be probably my favorite animated movie of the year. But there's another movie on the list that we're going to get to. Anyway, this one is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. What a great, great movie. I think it was amazing. It was, the style is something that I really, really enjoyed. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it, but it really worked for me. And it worked for me so well that I got the 4K Steelbook. I love this movie so much. And it's the first time that in any Ninja Turtle story that I actually cared about April O'Neil. It did some amazing stuff. And I love the updates to the characters. I love everything about it. I think it was superbly well done. It's sort of almost like the blueprint of taking a beloved IP from the past and updating it today and making it just feel fresh and still has all the things that you love about those characters. It's a great movie, and I think everybody should see it. And now, as I said, in any other year, Mutant Mayhem would be my number one. But then this movie was there first, and there's nothing that beat it as far as animation and even comic book movies, and that is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. What an amazing, amazing movie. Again, another one that I bought on 4K because I love it. I love it that much. It's one of those that I feel like it's going to be a classic. Like, I love the first movie, I really do. But this one, man, it's so good. Miles is such an amazing character, and I love the way that his art continues to grow, and I love the world of the Spider-Verse. There's so many amazing characters in this movie. Gwen is amazing in this. Look, all I can say is that it's one of the best movies of the year, period. Animated, comic book, it doesn't matter. It's one of the best of the year, period. Now that leaves what I'm going to say is my favorite movie of the year. And this one, it Across the Spider-Verse, man, I'm telling you, that one was close. But this one, it affected me on a different level. And that is Oppenheimer. This is one of those where there's going to be people that are going to be like, oh, is it too long? Oh, are the sex scenes necessary? Oh, it's just a bunch of people talking. Well, you know what? It was fantastic. Yes, I bought the 4K, and I recently watched this again, and it was amazing how different the experience was. It was more moving to me, and maybe it's because I was comfortable with the story now and comfortable with the length and all that kind of stuff. On the second time, it really changed. And one of the things that really stuck out to me was Emily Blunt's performance. Wow. Like, she really stuck out. For some reason, she didn't stick out to me the first time. But wow, what an amazing performance there. Cillian Murphy, just freaking amazing. Robert Downey Jr. and Cillian Murphy will probably both get nominations for Best Acting. It's an amazing movie. And it's one of those where I think it's going to go down as not only probably Christopher Nolan's best movie, but it's going to go down as one of the best movies of this decade. I think it's that well done. And yeah, I just stick by that. Now we're going to talk about some movies that I feel are, well, I wouldn't say completely terrible, disappointing, like, whatever. These are just kind of in the middle, and they are disappointing for one reason or another, but they're by no means bad movies or bad TV shows, okay? So the first one is going to be, and this is surprising to say, Ridley Scott's Napoleon. I love Ridley Scott. I have a whole freaking playlist on Ridley Scott reviews because I love the director. This is one of those where everything technically is perfect, right? The way that it's shot, the set design, the costume design, the music, just everything technically is perfect. It's just perfect. But the story is just, wow, it just doesn't work. It's all over the place, and it's very unfocused. And it's one of those where I can't include it in my favorites of the year, even though I can watch it. I could probably watch this and really enjoy just looking at it because it's Ridley Scott. It's such a bummer that so many Ridley Scott movies suffer from a lack of crafting of the story. And it's just kind of a bummer. Now, of course, we've got a 4-hour cut coming that's going to be on Apple TV Plus. That might fix all the issues that we have. But again, why do we keep doing this where, we're going to save the superior version for later? So the people that watched it the first time, if they didn't like it, well, they're not even going to give the director's cut or the extended cut, whatever you want to call it. They're not even going to give it a chance. I don't understand that thought process. But yeah, for now, Napoleon is just right there in the middle, and it's just kind of like, hmm. Now this is going to sound like I'm ripping on Disney, and I guess maybe I am, because there's a lot of disappointments and sort of mid-level kind of movies and TV shows from Disney this year. The first one that I want to talk about is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Now, if you watch my review, it's immediately after I went and watched it, and I came out going, yeah, I enjoyed it. I had a good time. But it's one of those movies that just doesn't stick with you, and over the months, I don't care to watch it again. It's a strange movie, and it's also even more disappointing when you stop and think about the fact that they took the Ant-Man movies, which were fun and almost a subgenre of the MCU, because they were different. They were lighthearted and kind of goofy and just fun. And they took all that and they tried to make an Ant-Man movie that's just like the rest of the MCU. And it's just like, it didn't have any identity. And then the idea that, and maybe this is why people were turned off by Kang, is because you're telling me Ant-Man, probably one of the weaker heroes in the MCU, was able to defeat Kang. Then why should we be scared of Kang? It's just one of those weird things. I don't know. But all I can say is this is one of those that it's just right in the middle. It's not terrible, but it's not good either. So it's kind of one of those that's like, eh. Now this next one is more of a bummer for me, just because I was looking forward to it. And that was Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I mean, you had a lot of people involved that I really like. Of course, I love Harrison Ford. I enjoy Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I think she's a great actress. And then you've got Mads Mikkelsen as the villain, and James Mangold directing. How can this be bad? But it feels so artificial. You know, it just, when you watch it, there's just a feeling of going through the motions, and it's kind of a bummer because you're hoping for a little bit more. Now, I will still say that there were moments that I enjoyed. There were definitely scenes that I enjoyed. I even enjoyed how they sort of wrap up a lot of this movie. You know, I enjoy all of that. But it's also very member berries, which is always frustrating. And it's also just kind of there. And it just mediocre. And that's just kind of a bummer, because Indiana Jones as a character, I feel like deserves more. And finally, in the mid or meh section, whatever you want to say, is a series from Disney, Star Wars, called Ahsoka. And wow, this one was another one of those situations where it wasn't terrible, but man, there was just a lot of like, I don't understand what we're doing here. And it's also very unfocused. One of the things that you watch as you're watching this is that it feels like the character that's the name of the show, Ahsoka, her arc or her whatever, kind of wraps up in the middle of the season. So it doesn't feel like there's anything really at risk, at least for her. And it then turns into this other thing, and you're like, what's going on? And they're trying to do too much. And this whole idea of sort of MCU-ifying the Star Wars universe is not a terrific idea. And they lost focus of the main thing, and that is tell a good story. I don't feel like the story was that fascinating or that good. And we had amazing performances by Ray Stevenson as Balin Skull. I mean, dude, what an amazing performance there. And the absolute best thing about the show. I mean, I think most people will agree with that. But yeah, it just left with a very okay kind of feeling. That sucks for Star Wars. In the disappointing section, these are a couple of things that I was really looking forward to and disappointed me beyond what I could have hoped for. And that's really kind of the way it goes sometimes. But yeah, this first one, I gotta say, I'm a huge fan of Samuel L. Jackson, but Secret Invasion was bad. It was just bad. And this is one of those, like I said, I'm a huge Samuel L. Jackson fan. I have been for like 30 years. I love this guy. Every time he's in a movie, I'm excited because I'm like, that's one part of the movie, or that's one part of the show, or whatever. That's one part we're not going to have to worry about because Samuel L. Jackson's going to bring it. And I've always just liked him as an actor. Dude, when I saw those trailers that we're getting a Nick Fury based, like a Nick Fury centric season of television. Oh man, I was pumped. And I was like, this is going to be awesome. And man, just time after time, it was just like, God, what a disappointment this was. And I binged the entire thing. I waited for the entire thing to finish. I watched the first episode, put out a review, and then just binged the rest of it when it was all done. It's just amazing to me that the same studio that gave us some amazing stuff in the past, and even some things this year that I think are amazing, this was so just terrible on so many different levels. And even, some will even argue breaks the MCU. So it's just a weird show that I'm like, man, I kind of wish they just didn't make it. It's really kind of that bad. And really, there's only one other disappointing thing for this year, and like super disappointing. And for me, look, if you watch my review, you probably know what I'm going to say, and that's Rebel Moon. I feel like Rebel Moon is one of those where there's so much potential. I actually like Zack Snyder. I think he's a great director, right? I think visually the guy is amazing. I saw the trailers and I'm like, man, this looks good. This looks like it could actually be good. And then after the first 45 minutes, man, that movie just tanked for me because none of the characters mattered. They had stereotypes or just archetypes. They didn't make any sense. And I just didn't care. I didn't care anymore. So after about an hour of seeing that movie, I'm kind of like, you know what? If I wasn't doing a channel where I review things, I probably wouldn't even watch the director's cut of Rebel Moon or part 2 because I don't care. I really don't care. To me, it's that bad. And that's really frustrating. It's really frustrating to see all of this potential just squandered. Now, the director's cut might fix everything. The director's cut might have everything that we're looking for. But again, why would we do this? Why would you release something that's so subpar that it completely turns them off of anything in the future, instead of releasing what even Zack Snyder says is the superior version? I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I think that Rebel Moon is definitely one of the most disappointing things this year. So there we go. It's some of the best, some of the not so great stuff. Look, I don't like saying the worst because look, there's a lot of room for the worst. I'm looking at you, Bigfoot versus DB Cooper. But look, here's the thing. I enjoyed a lot of it. And I'm kind of curious from your standpoint, what were your favorite things? What were the things that, were just kind of in the middle for you and you're kind of disappointed by? What were the things that you hated? Let's talk about it in the comment section. So yeah, there we go. 2023 all wrapped up. So thank you guys for watching and we'll see you in 2024.